One of the most talented cricketers of his age, Shane Watson, certainly portrayed glimpses of the right mindset, but perhaps lacked the tools and the blueprint to implement them in his career. He worked on his inner self resiliently, and he talks about his many life lessons in our next session from his book, The Winner's Mindset.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this conversation with the legendary Shane Watson. How are you?
I'm going great, Nabir. How are you?
I'm absolutely great. We are celebrating the World Book Day. This is 23rd of April, 2024, when we are recording this conversation. You have recently written a book, The Winner's Mindset, by, I don't know whether it's coming or not, by Shane Watson. It got blurred. I really love reading through the pages because of the fact that it is not just and just about cricket, but you have married cricket to the real life. How exactly a small change in mindset can actually change your life. Uh, let's start with the first chapter, which I have read through. Skill set versus mindset. Uh, how are these two extremely different? And can a small change in a mindset change your life drastically?
Yeah, that's look, it's great to be here. It's great to be chatting to you, Nabir. Yeah, look, the my understanding, and I was just very fortunate to be taught this information at the age of 34, the ripe old age of 34, after I've been playing international cricket for about 14 years. And probably the overarching concept, which is mental skills, that I got taught, is just the understanding around skill set and mindset, and how incredibly important is to understand that how correlated they are, but how separate they are in a way as well. Most of us, we just put all the skill sets sort of in together, skill set and mindset sort of together, and it's just one. But what they are in their own different ways. So skill set is all the information that you work so hard to turn into muscle memory, that so it's really deeply ingrained, whether it's from a cricket perspective, whether that's your batting, your cover drive, your cut shot, whether it's from a bowling perspective, just bowling specific balls that you're trying to bowl. But it's at for like a teenager at school, it's that all those the time that you spend learning like specific information, right? Whether it's a maths equation, whether it's English, it's learning a specific skill and specific information that then you can pull out when you need to. You've got
Right.
recall to be able to pull it out. So that's what the skill set is, and that's a thing that we work so tirelessly to be able to just turn it and put it into our internal computer that we can just pull out whenever we want. The mindset perspective is the mental environment around these skills sitting, the skill set sitting.
Mhm.
So if my mental environment, if my mindset is corrupted, which a lot of the times we're challenged when we need to perform, when it's time to go.
Mhm.
If my mental environment's corrupted, then my ability to be able to pull out those skills and have access to those skills is significantly reduced to a point where we feel like, in an exam, for example, we know this information, and right there and then you go, oh my god, I can't believe I've forgotten this. And then as soon as you walk out of that exam, you go, oh my god, that was it. Where was
I
that?
knew everything.
Right?
True.
So that's an example around the mental environment, your mental environment shifting and being corrupted, which means you don't have access to those skills or limited access to those skills. And I'll say from a cricket perspective is, and I had this a number of times, and one in particular was an event happened in my life where my mental environment was corrupted in a big way, and I was allowing the wrong thoughts to keep coming in at the wrong times, which meant that I had my ability to access my skills, which was so deeply ingrained in me at the age of 34, I couldn't access them. I felt like I'd lost my skill because my mental environment was corrupted. But on the flip side of that is, if my mental environment is correct and it's the right mental environment, and we need to understand what that correct mental environment is for us and what the right thoughts are at the right time to be able to create that correct mental environment, then I've got full access to those skills that are so deeply ingrained at will when I need to, whether it's in training or whether it's when I need to perform in game and I need to step into it because there's a lot riding on it. So
Makes
it's
sense.
it's understanding the mental environment is critical to me being able to access those skills. And that for me, that's a really broad concepts around mental skills, but that's really everything in the book of the winner's mindset is around understanding how to create the right mental environment for you. So then every time you step in to perform, you can have got full access to those skills that you work so hard to have deeply ingrained in you.
Sure. I would like to pick your brain and draw parallels with the real world. A lot of young kids may be watching this. Not only young kids, young professionals. Somebody who's a cricketer, somebody who's delivering a project, who has a presentation, a meeting. And a lot of time, you're not performing that great. You know when you're not performing great in a match or in a meeting or in a presentation. Does this instant switch of mindset actually help instantly, or is it like a long-term process? What is your take on this?
It helps instantly, and look, it might not help instantly with your performance right there and then because you might not have the skills equipped to be able to handle that situation. Right? You might be in a meeting with someone who and having a negotiation with someone who's just more highly skilled than you right there and then, right? And they know how to be able to work through getting it to go in their favor, right? So that's something you're always working on to get better skills at. So it's like me when I first came into the Australian team as a 20-year-old, I knew where my skills were like down here. And I was playing with Shane Warne and Glenn McGrath and Ricky Ponting, who their skills were like at the very best. So I knew there was a big
Hmm.
gap. So when I was
Yeah.
training with them, if I had to play against them, I knew where things were at. So it meant that if I was ever coming up against them, there's more chance of them coming out the right side. But the thing by understanding the mindset is while you're working to develop those skills to get them to a stage where there's more chance of you coming out on top,
Hmm.
by understanding what your mindset is during those performances, and then after it, it reduces the stress, anxiety, and worry around your performances. Because by understanding this is the skills I've got right now, and I'm trying to access all those skills that I've got because of creating the right mental environment, then I've given myself the best chance to perform my very best with the skills I've got right there and then. And then after it, you go, well, this is what I've learned from this situation. This is what I've learned from this performance. But it means that you digest it in a much stress and anxiety free environment because you're really aware of, okay, this is a thing, this is my mindset, this is when I was actually really good. You know what, during that performance, I really started to second guess myself. I started to fear what might happen. And most of the time when we start to fear what might happen, that's when we get in our own way. And that's when it's a wrong mental environment.
And that makes you
So
anxious, right? That makes you
one
anxious.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. Once you start worrying about what might happen or what has happened, that's when you moved away from the present. And that's when stress and anxiety and worry really builds up. And that's when we are absolutely getting in our own way to perform at our very best. So that's a really simple understanding of you just got to bring the best of what you've got right there. And then that's something I wish I did in like through a lot of my career up until I learned this information was, especially the days that I didn't do that well, most of the time it wasn't me with my skills. At times there was someone who's just better than me on the day, but a lot of the time it was me fearing what might happen. I need to perform today. I need to score runs. This is a big opportunity. This is a big series. This is a World Cup where all the best players stand up. And I just put so much pressure on myself and I suffocated my performance because I was building it up bigger than what it is. In the end, it's just a skill that I need to execute and be present and trust what I feel and create the right mental environment.
But Shane, a lot of people say that good pressure, what is the difference between good pressure and bad pressure? A lot of people say that you should have a pressure, only then you can perform well. How do you define? Is there a gray line? Of course, there is a very slight line between the good pressure and bad pressure. When do you realize that this is going towards the negative end of the pressure and not a positive end? It's actually hampering you more than benefiting you.
The pressure comes from the expectation they put on yourself
Hmm.
because in the end, look, there's no doubt it's more obvious. So playing in an IPL final, for example, you're more
Hmm.
aware, you're more aware that, look, it's a final. So whoever wins or loses is either champion or you're not. But you've also got to catch that thought and go, well, this is actually just another game. The skills are just
True.
another game. I'm
Yep.
facing this bowler. I've got to trust my instincts. I've got to react. You got to really strip it back to that. Whereas it's the pressure that you allow to be put on an event, on a performance. So there's times in the past where I was, oh my gosh, this is a World Cup final, or this is an IPL final. I need to perform today. I have to stand up. And that's where you build it up to be much like even bigger than what it is. And that's when
Mm.
most of the time you suffocate your own performance because you're just frozen in fear because I need to perform today. Instead of just, this is my skill. This is how I bring the very best version of myself, ball after ball or moment after moment.
Mm.
And if I do that, I know I'm giving myself the best chance of having a really good day. So that's where the pressure is really what you put on yourself. You can go into an event or a performance that's actually low pressure, right? And I'll give an example, a cricket example. It's
Mm.
the start of the tournament, or it might be a practice game.
Yeah.
A practice game where there is no pressure at all, pressure on it,
Yeah.
right? Perceived pressure, but you can
Yep.
build it up in your own mind to go, you know what, this is actually a really important moment right now. So I need to make sure that I'm doing everything, my processes, moment by moment, to be, and this is the version of me that is this very best version of myself. And you can bring that pressure and intensity to that performance, even if it's a practice match, because you're practicing those skills that you need to then implement when it actually is a legitimate, relatively bigger game. So
So basically what you're saying is consider every match, even the finale, as just like a practice match, and then only you'll be able to overcome all the pressures and put your best foot forward.
that's right. And your best performance, there's a certain intensity level that you have when you're at your very best.
Right?
And
That's true.
by going back to that best performance that you've had and defining what that intensity level is, that's the sweet spot that you're trying to hit going into any performance. Because if you crank it up too much, your intensity up too much because it's a bigger game or a bigger performance, then you'll sabotage your own performance. Or on the other side is if you go in with not the right intensity because you think, oh, it's just a practice match, doesn't matter. That's when you make more chance of making rookie mistakes as well because you're not engaged enough to be present and fully engaged in actually what's going on right there and then. So
Hmm.
you've got to understand what that right intensity level is for you to perform your best. And again, that's a cricket perspective, but that's also in anything that you're performing in. If you go into a negotiation and you're just like, I don't care at all, and you're sort of like tuned out and you're like semi half asleep, well, you're not giving yourself the best chance to perform,
True.
right?
True.
But if you've spiraled and you're like, oh my God, I need to get this deal done no matter what, oh gosh, that's when you go the other way. So it's understanding what that sweet spot is for you that you need to be engaged in the right way to give yourself the best chance of getting the best result you can.
That makes sense. Let's take a mentorship advice from you for all those young cricketers who are watching you and watching this conversation now. You have mentioned this inside the book as well. That, for example, it's a 200-run partnership. For me, I'm really bad at cricket, so I'll consider it as a 20-run partnership with my other cricketer. But consider it as a 200-run partnership, and one person is out, one player is out. What should you actually do? Should you actually play safe, or you should just keep the pace going and hit it one after other?
What you should do is start your innings like it doesn't matter what's happened before, whether it's a 200-run partnership, whether it's you've lost a lot of early wickets. You've got to go in and immediately step into the best version of you and the way you do that is by defining what that best version of you looks like from a technical perspective and then from a mindset perspective. And then from moment to moment, you're trusting what you feel. You're assessing the conditions, you're assessing the bowler, and then being aware of the situation of the game. So if it's a 200-run partnership and you've come in, you assess the situation, you're present, you're reacting to what you feel, and then knowing the situation means you can be a little bit freer. you can take the game on a little bit more. But for me, I would, if that happened to me in the past, a 200-run partnership, and I came in, I would think from ball one, it's like batting in the last like couple of overs of a T20 match. I've got to start slogging. And and I've got to start slogging. And that's where it's and that for me would be really high risk. That's really high risk because it's hard for anyone to be able to do that. When I understood the very best way to do it is I would step in at the 200-run partnership coming in, and then I'd just assess it. And then I would put my foot down a little bit earlier, but it wouldn't be reckless. And the other side is if you come in after, say, I'm batting at number 5 and we've lost 3 quick wickets and we haven't scored any runs. The thing that you don't want to do is go into your shell and go, don't get out. We don't want to lose another wicket. Because when we're at our best, we don't think about getting out. We just think about, like, this is what I need to do right here and there to be able to bring the very best every single ball, every single moment. And if I do that, then the chances of me actually scoring runs and getting our team out of trouble there's more chance of that happening.
True.
So that's where it's not allowing the situation where you're coming into to dictate how you go immediately. You need to give yourself a bit of time to assess the situations and then trust what you feel and then just step into the very best version of you.
When you deal with young peeps, young cricketers who are like 15, 16 years of age, 10, 11 years of age, and of course, a lot of people may be coming to you for mentorship, for guidance, this and that. What is the biggest concern you see in those from the approach point of view, not from the skills, because skills, as you have mentioned inside the book, it's the A game, that's your 40 and everything. But how exactly is the mindset different from the utopic mindset which every cricketer or every sportsman should have? What is
Yeah.
the main concern you see?
Yeah. Well, there's two. There's
Okay.
two that stand out immediately, and this is whether they're 11-year-old, whether it's a 16-year-old, or whether it's a 35-year-old international cricketer.
Okay.
Okay, it's all the same. Number one is they don't realize that they're in control of their thoughts. They don't fully understand that they're actually in control of their thoughts. So if the wrong thoughts coming in at the wrong time, that they actually have control to listen into it, that, oh, this is the wrong thought, and then redirect that thought to the right thought at the right time. Conscious mind function is we are in control of our thoughts. So we need to take control of it. So if it's a wrong thought, then we have to grab it and put at the right thought, and understanding by defining what your right thoughts are at specific times, then you know where you have to redirect it. So that's number one, because that means you actually are taking control. So then your performance on the other side of it, you haven't like taken control of your thoughts. You've had the wrong thoughts, then you haven't performed well, and you're sitting down digesting your performance that's been junk, and it's too late. Whereas by catching the wrong thought and redirecting it, you actually, even in your performance, you can catch it and redirect it and not allow those thoughts to actually have an impact on the outcome and the results that you get. So that's number one. The second one is, and it's probably the thing that pops up the most, is that your brain is like a muscle. You've only got a certain amount of mental energy every single day. And as soon as you burn through that mental energy, then your ability to be able to access those skills that are so deeply ingrained are significantly reduced. And the main part of burning through your mental energy is our worry and our overthinking of situations in the lead up to your performance. Who's coming up? Who am I playing against? Or what might come up in the exam? Or what might come up in the negotiation? Yes, you've got to do your preparation. You have to be thoroughly prepared. But once you've done that preparation, then you can't think of it again until you're in that moment of performance, because that's where we burn through our mental energy like unnecessarily, because we need as much mental energy as we can going into that performance. So then we've got full access to all of our skills that are so deeply ingrained. Because we want to perform so badly, we all want to perform at our very best. And most of us, and it's natural, it's human nature, we overthink it. we worry about the performance. I need to perform. I need to score runs. I need to get this result. And then we burn through our mental energy, and before you know it, we're mentally fried when we actually come into the performance. It's like we've already played, we've already gone through that performance before the performance has started because we've played it through in our own mind. We have to be
True.
so aware because we're in control of our thoughts. If we're starting to move our mind forward and we're starting to burn through our mental energy, we're to catch it and redirect it. And the way to redirect it is for people to have an anchor where they go to. They have to have an anchor to pull themselves through, whether it's your breathing, whether it's a song, whether it's looking into space, whether it's everyone's got their sort of anchor, a happy place or thing
True.
that they put their mind on neutral, and you've got to understand what that is because everyone needs one, at least one.
Just does hogging a pizza counts as one?
Does holding a what? Sorry,
Hogging a pizza.
is if you're being present with it. It's if you're being present with it and you're in the moment, you're savoring every mouthful. Then absolutely, the anchor that people are trying to the anchor is it's bringing someone back to the present.
True.
That's what it is. So for me, it's putting a song into my head. That's my anchor to bring myself back to the moment. So I know that my mind's on neutral. A lot of other people, it's their breathing. They just go back to their breath. Other people have chewing gum. Some people are cricketers. Some people have chewing gum, and that's their way of sort of just
Right.
getting into a rhythm and being present. Whether it's eating and actually savoring every mouthful with a pizza, then that's something you can do too.
True. Now I'll move to a more uh, serious as well as one of the most, for me, at least for me, important chapters in the book, which I really enjoyed reading through, which is actually the difference between critiquing and criticism.
Yeah.
I really love that part because it actually changed a lot of perspective
Mm.
for me personally. I would love to know from you, why did you write this? What was in the thought, and how come you figured out a very big difference from the cricketer's point of view as well as from a basic human nature?
Yeah.
How are these two very fundamentally very different?
Yeah, that is so important to understand just the difference between critique and criticism. And that's as I'm talking from an individual perspective as a starting point. So, um, criticism is a judgment. It's your own
Hmm.
personal judgment. Like, you were like, why did you sucked? You didn't perform under pressure again. You've let yourself down. You're better than that. Does that mean am I gonna get dropped or am I gonna lose my job? You're hopeless. Like that's criticism, right? It's a judgment. It's a
Right.
judgment to what's happened. Okay. Whereas critique is around assessing the situation and working through it to be able to learn from it and then moving on. And I'll give an example. So, um, I'll give you a really simple process that I only discovered and used after I learned this information. And it's the questions. There's three questions that I ask myself after something that doesn't go to plan, and a performance that was junk, or I made a mistake that I shouldn't have under pressure, in a big moment of the game. So the first question is what happened, like exactly defining like at that moment what happened, what was it. So whether is it I made a rookie mistake, I'm better, like I I got in front of myself, or I started to think about making a mistake, or don't get out or don't make a mistake, and that's what happened, right? And then the outcome was this. um, so what happened, what was the event that happened? Second question is why did it happen, and defining why did it happen. Like, what were the things that, yeah, I didn't do really that well, whether it's my preparation, I probably didn't prepare as well as I should have. I didn't tick every box, and then this thing came up that I wasn't actually prepared for, right? So that's why did it happen? And then the third question is, well, what can I do in the lead up to the next performance to be able to reduce the chances of that happening again? So, um, is it in my preparation? Is it something I can actually practice in the lead up to the next performance? Or is it actually just during that performance where I just need to execute better, or I need my mind in a better place, or I need to control my thoughts better, or I need to just think about this technical thing in the moment because once I've got it, I know I'm going to be okay in the next performance. So by asking those three questions, then straight away you step through that situation and that performance that wasn't great by learning from it, and you step through it. And even though you will at times, because we're humans, we go back to it and go, geez, that sucked. What was that? But because you've stepped through that to be able to learn from it, then you're certainly much more at ease, and you're learning from every situation. That's what the growth mindset is all about, is learning from every situation that arises. So you speed up your learning, so that compounds over 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, and then you become so much better than what you were, the previous right at that moment in time. So critiquing is a way just to be able to take the judgment, the criticism, and that that shovel that we can put in our hands, and we're digging or flailing away and digging at ourselves and beating ourselves down, to just make it much more constructive, to go, this is what happened, why did it happen, what can I do in the lead up to the next performance to be able to reduce the chance of that happening? And then you step through it, and you find where's criticism that you get nothing out of it apart from just beating yourself down and becoming depressed and worrying and certainly getting down on yourself, which is again the opposite version of yourself when you're at your very best.
So what happened? Why did it happen? And what can you do to change it? The
What can I do
three
in the lead?
W's.
Yep. And what
Three
can I do in
W's.
exactly? What can I do in the lead up to that next performance to reduce the chances of that happening again?
That makes
Yeah.
sense. The
Yeah.
three W in the world of internet, www. This is the www you need.
That's it.
I really enjoyed playing a game inside, which is the game of focus.
Oh, yes.
I thought basically the exercise seems to be very nice because you set the expectation that if you're less than 20, you are extremely bad. And then when I performed, I got 3 or 4. I'm like, am I that bad? But then the explanation comes that, okay, it's okay to be that bad, but it's just that I've set the expectations more. I would love to, it's all for all the readers who can grab a copy and play this game inside the book. But I really want to know, as a cricketer or as a pilot, as somebody who's just focus, whose job or whose profession or whose passion really needs a high intensity of focus.
Mhm.
How do you do that? A lot of kids are suffering from it because of the fact that they are not able to focus on more on studies, on sports, on any
Yep.
particular art form. And this is not just with kids. A lot of young professionals, senior people, everybody at a given point of time in their life actually deals with a lack of focus. What is your mantra to all those people? A very quick mantra, how to tackle it and how to make it accessible for everybody, how to make focus accessible for everybody.
Yeah, and that test that's in the book is a great way to be able to just assess exactly in a short period of time, in a minute, for example, exactly where your focus actually goes to, even in 60 seconds. When by understanding, for you to be the very best at that test, like this is the thing that you need to do. You need to have just one thought about the number that you're looking for, and then it jumps out at you. But even going through 60 seconds, you can see how your thoughts vary, like change.
Sure.
And so when it comes to the focus side of things, it all comes down to understanding what it's all about understanding being correctly focused. Okay, that's what it's all about. It's being focused on the right things at the right times. As in, do I need to be so I'll talk from a cricket perspective, just give an
Yeah, please
example.
do that. Please do that.
So being correctly focused is as the bowler's running in. I'm talking from a batter's perspective. As the bowler's running in, I've just got an awareness of the bowler coming in, and the most critical thing is as the ball's about to come out, I'm narrowly, finely focused on watching the ball come out of the bowler's hand to be able to then react to the ball coming down. Okay, and so that's correctly focused, being zeroed in, like getting my camera to like on zoom to that ball coming out of the bowler's hand. That's correctly focused. Being incorrectly focused is me being like looking up like someone in the stand. Okay. Or me thinking about like having a song in my head right at that moment in time, which is not, that's incorrectly focused. Correct focus is zeroing in, watch the ball, zero in on the ball. Incorrect focus is me looking up at the wrong time, right? So, and the flip side of that is if I'm waiting to bat, An incorrect focus is me going, okay, switch on today. I need to watch that ball hard, watch it hard, right? That's incorrect focused. What the right focus is at that moment of time is me just actually chilling, putting a song on my head, putting my mind on neutral, looking up into the distance. That's actually being correctly focused. So the skill
Mhm.
of focus is all around understanding that there's a number of components to it, and it's all around being correctly focused. And the only way you know whether you're correctly focused is by being fully present to understand what is the focus, what is the thing that I need to be focused on right now? Is what's
Mhm.
required me to be actually relaxed and pulled back and chilling? Or is there something that I need to be zeroed in? Is it for a pilot, for example? I'm about to land. I need to be focused and finally focused on these aspects that I need to tick off to land as well as I possibly can, to have the best landing that I possibly can. Whereas for a pilot, when they're up in the air and they're chilling and it's on autopilot, guess what? They don't need to be zeroed in. They need to be pulled back and relaxed and chilling, because the most important thing is that they have enough mental energy that when they need to be finally focused, that they can zero in. And that's the ultimate skill of focus, is that we don't burn through our mental energy by being narrowly focused and finally focused all the time at the wrong times,
Makes sense.
because that's where we burn through our mental energy. Our brain is like a muscle, and if we burn through it, once that energy's gone every day, then our ability to access our skills is reduced significantly.
Okay. Shane, tell me something very honestly. You have played n number of games. You have played n number of balls, millions of balls. But and focus on the learning. It's a
Mhm.
everyday learning thing. Do
Yeah.
you still struggle with some, focus in one or two things, or you have figured out the way how to focus on each and every aspect of life?
So I am a million times better now,
Okay.
at being able to, at being able to be correctly focused. And my default is worrying. That's, as a kid, I worried about results. I was desperate for results. So that I was a master at worrying. And
Hmm.
if things didn't go exactly to plan, then my mind, I'd just start digging and go, "What was that? Oh my God, what am I going to do?"
Being
Whereas,
impatient. Being impatient.
absolutely. Whereas now, as soon as I listen into me starting to overthink a situation or start to worry, I just catch those thoughts because I'm in control of my thoughts, and my anchor, my default is just putting a song into my head. So that's now the easiest way for me
And
to
what is
go,
the
I
and
know
what
I'm
is the
doing that.
first song? And what is the
It
first
doesn't,
song that comes to your mind?
well, it doesn't. It's whatever I've been listening to. It's anything, like, because I listen to music all the time. So it's whatever
Okay.
the sort of song of the moment is. But my go-tos are normally like country music. I love country music. So
Any
so whether it's
favorites? Any
Chris
favorites
Cab,
from there?
Luke Combs, Fast Car, or Beautiful Crazy. There's a couple of songs that I just stand outs. Um, but so I'll just put my mind to a song immediately, and that is such a powerful technique, because it means that in any aspect of my life, if something doesn't go to plan, and and I'm starting to worry, or I'm starting to get really frustrated, that's my way of being able to, like, just put my mind on neutral. Yeah, and sometimes we're all human, we all make mistakes and we all sort of worry a bit too much. But by me being aware, I catch it more often than not now. Whereas before I wouldn't catch it at all. I didn't know, and then I'd be worrying and digging myself into a pretty deep hole.
That makes
So
sense. That makes sense.
that's
We
the
are moving.
thing.
Yeah, sure. We are
Yeah.
moving towards the end of the conversation. My last question, since this is World Book Day today, any particular books which you really love enjoying, or which actually can change your mindset? Apart from Shane Watson's A Winner Mindset, is there any other book you would really recommend which actually have changed you as a person for the
Oh,
better?
that's a yeah. Look, that's a great question. So there's one that stands out to me that I've read just recently, which is Alex Ferguson's book Leading, and that was an amazing book that I read. And it's from a coaching perspective, but it really is something for people to understand how Alex Ferguson, things he did to get the very best out of not just the players but also the staff and the people around him. So that was one thing that stood out. Um, Yes, the other book that I love, this is, and I wish I read this really early in my career, was a book called Relentless by Tim Grover. So this guy was Michael Jordan's and Kobe Bryant's sort of coach, like mental skills coach. And
Wow.
in the book, he just really digs into like the mentality and the thoughts and the things that like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant had, and how he sort of the things that he taught them. Some of the things had like ingrained in them anyway, but other things that he implemented with those guys as well. So obviously, the information that I got taught by Dr. Jacques Dallaire, which is all absolutely in the book that I learned, changed my life. But that book, Relentless, from a mental skills perspective, that's as good as I've read that's out there as well.
On that note, very, very thank you for having this conversation with us. Uh, I wish to meet you in person some other day and have this like a long conversation with the guitar where we are playing and listening to country music while talking a lot about mindsets, changing our mindset. And I really believe that the focus game increases for you as well as for me till that meeting. Very, very thank you for being a part of this conversation. Thank you, Shane.
My pleasure, B. Great to chat to you, mate.
Thanks.